All right, let's see if we can get this to run. Yep.
Push harder. Come on.
Woo! So if you guys are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy it. And consider subscribing if you like what you see. I really like what I see because this is a big, big deal. This, or what this kind of resembles, is a 2016 Mclaren 675LT. There's only one of 500 made in the world, and this one was crashed. I say was because it's no longer crashed. It has a new frame, front and rear. It has some carbon fiber repairs, and it has a lot of engine repairs and a lot of repairs in general. So in order to get to this point, I had to do a lot of work. I had to put this car together, and I also enlisted the help of a lot of people. You saw them on the channel and they helped out a lot, but no one helped out more than the sponsor of this series, Auto Tempest. You guys know that Auto Tempest has been supporting my channel for a very long time, so go check them out in the link in the video description below. If you don't know what it is, it's the best way to find your next new or used car. You can window shop. It basically takes all of the major car listing sites and puts them into one easy search. In fact, that's their slogan, all the cars, one search. Now, you will also know that I have a series called Car Trek that's sponsored by Auto Tempest. What you might not know is we're premiering our third mini-series on Monday, which is 2 days from now, and I'm very excited. In fact, I'll give you a little sneak peek of it right now.
You guys are messing up our test drive. Wizard can't really open this thing up.
Okay.
All right. Don't fall over. Don't fall over.
Oh, jeez. That was a wheel off the ground there.
That's dangerous.
Okay, so let's get on to this. This thing is awesome. Now, I have to go back in time a little bit because right now it looks like this, and it is sort of kind of together, but you can still see that there is a lot missing from this car. We don't have any brakes, we don't have, well, any bodywork at all. But believe it or not, this car in this condition is ready to start. In fact, that is the point of today's video. We're gonna start this car. So I'm gonna take you back to when this car didn't look like this. It looked a lot more taken apart. The front end wasn't on, the back end wasn't on. And we're gonna go through all the steps for this car to start for the very first time in 3 years. That's exactly how long it's been since this car drove on its own without being completely wrecked. So sit back, relax. This is gonna take a while. Well, okay, now the new subframe is in and it looks the same as before. It doesn't really look all that different. However, it is very different because right here in this corner, the old subframe was a 1/4 inch up, and that would have made it very, very hard to align. To illustrate this, I will show you with my handy dandy piece of metal, and we'll take a look over here. If we offer that up right here, we'll see that it is nice and straight the whole way through, and the other side has the same thing going on. Boom, nice and straight, and obviously it should be because this is a brand new subframe. But here's a fun fact: even though it's a brand new subframe, they don't really clean it up all that much. They use a MIG gun that can weld aluminum, and it looks like they just leave the slag on there because you can see all the imperfections. I mean, this comes straight from Mclaren, so that's a little odd. But the old subframe is right here, so we can see exactly how cattywampus it is. Now, I have it set on 2 pieces of wood, and I'm just gonna give it, yeah. It is not very straight. In fact, if we turn it over and we put that same piece of metal, you'll see one side is straight and the other side is yep, that ain't that ain't good. Now, while I put everything back the way it was, I didn't do it the McLaren approved way, because McLaren says that you have to take off the steering rack, you have to undo all these hydraulic lines. I didn't do any of that. I just removed as many bolts as I could, and then it just popped out, and you pop the new one in, and then you make sure that you're not pinching anything, and I wasn't pinching anything, so it really wasn't that bad. Also, over here, I did some wiring. Everything here was cut for some reason. I don't know whether that was the auction or a previous owner or during the accident or what, but it looks like it was just cut with scissors, and I just matched all the wire colors up. These are for the alarm system, I guess, and the horns. Those are very important because, well, I mean, you want to have horns, right? So I am going to just clean up everything, and then we're gonna torque everything to spec because that's also very important. Now, McLaren has torqued everything to spec, and the way you know is, let's see if you can see it. Yeah, right there, you see a blue mark and a white mark. And these marks mean that this was checked and also torqued. So what I'm gonna do is I have a black Sharpie, and I'm gonna put black Sharpie over the stuff that I torque myself, so I'll know that it's different from what McLaren put. And obviously I can't use the factory markings anymore because they don't mean anything. The bolts have been out, so the torque values are different. One thing I did a little bit off screen is install these. Now, I got these from Hyper Performance. These are the brake ducts, and what's cool about these is they go underneath, basically behind the wheel, so you can see that they get air from here into the massive carbon ceramic brake rotors. So that's pretty cool. I've never seen it like that. These were destroyed in the crash, so I got 4 new ones. And another thing I got 4 new ones of were these. Now, you guys saw that I replaced these in the back. These are the reservoirs for the hydropneumatic suspension, but this one actually was the one that exploded. It's right here. Exploded in the accident. This is supposed to have a top that doesn't really come out, but the top came out. So this just went boom with about 3,000 PSI of pressure, and that probably ruined the pants of whoever was sitting inside. So these are all brand new, all 4 corners. These are all brand new, all 4 corners. And now I'm going to torque everything to spec and make sure that I have all the brackets, all the bolts, and get this front end finally complete. So guys, this is the first time this has ever happened. Nothing went wrong. All the bolts went in and they gave me no issues. I can't even say that with a straight face. Yeah, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, like always. And I'm gonna have to end up getting more parts. Let me show you what I mean. So over here, you see that this is the trunk support brace. The trunk actually goes on top of here. The trunk is over there. That's actually half of the trunk, and there's another half. So the support brace took a lot of damage, so I got a new one. However, I didn't get new brackets on the left and right. Now the right one is a little bit banged up, but it sort of retains its shape, bolts up everywhere it needs to, and it holds the support bracket in place. However, the left one, that was bent a lot, and I had to do a lot of unbending, and the unbending, it doesn't really look all that great. So I'm going to order new brackets left and right. Now, if you look up top here, you'll see that this also took a little bit of impact, and this is actually part of the frame rail. Now, this I can weld up. This is not such a big deal, and this is not such a big deal. However, I don't know if I'm going to keep this like this. I don't feel right with having a structural component being modified in a way, so I am probably going to order a new or a good used version of this. And yes, I can just take out the rivets and take this part out. I think I'm going to end up replacing this entire frame rail. Even though the frame rail itself is arrow straight, it isn't bent at all. It just has a little bit of damage, which is likely cosmetic. It's just bothering me. Another thing that's bothering me is this. So this is the front support bar, and again, this is likely very good in terms of structural rigidity. It's not wavy, it's just a little bit hit on the underside of this, and I could get some pliers and bend it back. But at that point, it's no longer as strong as it could be, and it definitely doesn't look as good as it should. So I think I'm going to order that as well. But if you look over here, this is called the cooling pack, and this houses one side of the radiator. Each side of the engine gets its own radiator. Isn't that nice? So the radiator on this side is right over here, and I got a brand new one. However, I didn't get brand new weather stripping. Apparently, I forgot that they need it. I didn't really know that that was a thing. So I went to Advanced Auto Parts, got this, and this should be good enough. I doubled up and tripled up and quadrupled up in some areas, but this should be good enough. This is closed cell foam, and it's made for cars, trucks, farm. Well, we got this. We got one of these. Now, one thing I am gonna have to get, and I didn't get that before, is this piece right under here. Now this actually holds the radiator in place, and this, well, it looks like this, except without all the cracks and broken stuff. This came off the car, and this is definitely not going back on the car, so I'm gonna have to get a new one. And in addition, I'm gonna have to get a new hose because, let's see if you can see this. Yeah, there's a nice little split right there. So I will try to get just a regular hose. This seems like just coolant hose, and I can get this without having to pay the Mclaren premium. Now, having said that, the front end for the most part is done. I torqued everything down and checked it twice, made sure that everything is as it's supposed to be. I am waiting on a few sensors. There's a ride height sensor that is missing on this side. It was broken in the accident, and I didn't order any of those by mistake, so I need to order some of those. But right now, I am going to stop this and start moving to the back because I needed to order more parts, and that engine needs to be put together, and hopefully I can start it without necessarily putting all this together because I'm getting really, really, really antsy. So things got a little out of control. Things got off the rails, and I did a lot more work than I thought. And when I say I obviously don't mean just me. Jared is here, and he did a lot of the work in the back. I did a lot of the work in the front, and we kind of just met in the middle for the fuel tank and a lot of the wiring. But we have to go over everything that we did to this car in the last few days because just look at this. Like, this is what a modern car, what a modern supercar looks like. There's wires and hoses and cables. Everything is just crammed in there. It's just 10 or 15 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag, and it just looks like a complete nightmare.
Once you put all the carbon fiber on, then it looks okay. Under her skirt, not so much.
Yeah, this is looking a little weird, but I think that we can get this started because there's nothing really preventing us from starting this right now. Now, what we did was connected everything that we could. There are some things that aren't connected. You'll see that the brakes are not existent, they're not here, and I did that because they're very, very expensive carbon ceramic rotors, and I don't want to risk nicking them or damaging them while trying to do any other activities in and around the car. Those are very, very, very expensive. So we decided to leave them off. I don't think the car is going to mind that we don't have any brakes because we're not really going anywhere.
Yeah, all we're trying to do is start it so we know the engine is good, because everything else we have done has been working towards repairing the car, and this is the last big question mark. Aside from all the body work.
We are very tired. It's been a long few days, and if we don't make a ton of sense right now, please just bear with us. Now, let's go from the front to the back. In the front, you'll notice that there is a new frame rail here, and I did that not because the frame rail was damaged on my old one. The frame rail was actually okay. It's this piece right here, this piece that rivets on, that was damaged a little bit in my old frame rail, so I decided to get a whole new piece. The problem is a whole new piece from McLaren. Apparently there are differences in part numbers, and I got the piece from a different McLaren, which is similar enough, but some of the holes that needed to be drilled and put riv nuts needed to be riv nutted. So I had to do that. Also, I noticed that there was some panel bond. This is bonded, like this bracket, and that is what holds the fender together. So I got some panel bond, and well, it's not the best job in the world, but I think that's definitely going to hold. When everything comes back together, the car is essentially glued together. Like all the pieces in the back, the quarter panels and the roof, that's all glued, which is going to be interesting kind of lining everything up, but we're not at that stage yet. So I replaced this. This is the cooling pack, and this is my old one. It looks okay, but there was a few cracks, and I just wanted to make sure that everything was new. The radiator was totally fine, so we left that be. And you'll notice that I didn't put one on the other side, and the reason why is because I ordered a coolant line, and that coolant line, surprise, surprise, from McLaren, is not the right part number. So that coolant line was about 10 inches too short, and if I had a nickel for every time I heard that, one thing that kind of slowed us down is the fact that everything had to be torqued. So every time I took a bolt off or put a bolt on, I torqued it, and you can see right here that I marked it off that it was the correct torque, and I know it's correct torque because I looked at the factory service manual, which tells us the correct torque for everything. Now, I did put in the brand new subframe, and I did have to take out the brand new subframe to put in my brand new frame rail. I'm not going to put in this crossbar yet just because I want to hear this car start up, and there's still a billion things left to do until we can actually drive this thing.
Yeah, our goal is to drive with no bodywork.
Yes.
But even to that point, it's a decent bit off, but again, we want to make sure the engine's good.
Right.
And that's like a huge reward for us and for you guys to hear that scream to life. So,
now, it's not as easy as just put in fluids and off you go. This car has a very, very complicated hydraulic system, and you'll see the hydraulic system back here. it controls the suspension, all 4 wheels. There's no sway bars connecting them, nothing like that. It's all hydro-pneumatic. And the suspension also goes into, I believe, the power steering system. And the power steering system also feeds into, well, actually it doesn't feed into, this is a separate system. There's another hydraulic system for the spoiler, which is called an air brake. So this goes up and down like this, and this has to be bled. That actually goes into the clutch fluid in the transmission, and then that has its own filter and its own bleeding procedure. And then the clutch fluid is different from the trans fluid, which also has its filter. I also changed out the oil filter, and I filled it with oil, so we should have enough oil to start it. We don't have any air boxes or anything, but we do have the intercoolers. We don't have any way of putting coolant in it. Actually, we have a way, but we're not going to.
Yeah, since we still have that heat exchanger off, and we initially thought possibly it was 2 separate systems, that the cooling and the intercoolers had their 2 separate ones, but they're all fed from one tank. So rather than filling it and draining it, filling it and draining it, we're going to leave it dry, which gives us 2 to 3 minutes of run time, which is enough to see if there's catastrophic leaks and get really excited. You'll see our computers mounted quite handily with zip ties. These mount in brackets inside the bodywork, which we don't have. We have spare connectors. We've got air pump, which is an emissions connector. That's where these hoses would go to. Not sure what that one was. We found taillight plugs. Like it looks ridiculous because there's a whole lot of car not here to mount stuff.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, the car's been crashed, so we might be missing things, but that's just kind of the fun of figuring things out. So, Jared, without any further ado, you should put some gas in it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go put the battery in it, and then I'm going to key on for the very first time.
Yeah. Just, you got it, what, almost, it's been a year?
It's been almost a year, yeah.
Yeah, and you've never had key because you didn't have the right Mclaren battery, and the pyro fuse was blown.
Yeah, so now I have a new fuse box, and I have the correct battery, and all of that was very expensive, and hopefully the airbag doesn't explode in my face. All right, now here is the time in the day or night where I start to get real antsy and nervous because I've never had a battery in this car the entire time I've owned it. I've never keyed the car on, and I've certainly never tried to start it.
Wait.
What? Okay, Jared's
Let's get protection.
safety, at least top 5 maybe. So we have our lithium-ion battery that is very expensive, and we plug that in right there. Now, that is a fully charged battery. I've had it on the tender for a very long time, and I don't know, I'm scared. I'm scared of what's gonna happen. Oop. Ooh.
Okay, try it again and I'll...
Wait.
Wait.
Okay, stuff's happening.
It's making noises.
I have lights on the dash, which is interesting.
Because it thinks the door's open, maybe?
Yeah, use mechanical. That's okay. So,
Okay.
I'm just gonna try to put the car into the...
Hey, your AC is on.
AC's on.
Calm down.
Twice. Oh!
Wait, what's it
Look!
happening?
Oh, it turned on. Well, not the car, but just everything here. ESC fault. Go to McLaren Service Center. Yeah, that is not happening. Brake pedal, pressing. Oh, wait.
Is it press and hold?
So sometimes you have to press this really hard.
It sounds like it's trying. Like, it's priming fuel injectors. Throttle body's moving.
There has been a development. Please stop. Please stop. So
There's been lots of developments.
Yes. So we found out that this McLaren needs a lot of things to start. We kind of put a brake system on that. Well, it's not really a brake system. It's just a system that will give some brake pressure. So Jared put a nut and a bolt on the brake line so it would simulate pressure. That didn't do anything.
But it is going to be required. Apparently they're so moody.
Yeah, it is. It is very required. Also, the parking brake is necessary, so we connected the parking brake. That is a electronic parking brake, and Jared put something in. I don't even know what he used.
Wheel spacers.
Wheel spacers. So Jared used wheel spacers as a parking brake substitute.
A rotor substitute.
Yeah. None of that worked. I tried to get my diagnostic software to work. That is some cheap Chinese knockoff stuff, and that always works perfectly, except for when it never works. So I emailed my support. They don't know what's going on. But I decided to just look at what the fuses look like, and they don't look very good.
Yeah.
So we found a ton of blown fuses, and I'm getting a little excited because when you see blown fuses, that's when you put good fuses in, and then you hope for the best.
Well, one of the fuses we put in managed to turn the car on, and what did we have on the instrument cluster that we've not had yet?
A readout for the transmission. Wake up the car. Okay, car is on. Parking brake on. Turn the car on. Hey, we have... Oh, this is lit up. Are we gonna turn it on? No. Nope, nothing there. Okay. That's okay, that's okay. So, there goes nothing. Wait.
Turned it off.
Yeah, I did. Oh, come on. We tried a few more things. We plugged in the ABS pump, and I think that would also let us know what pressure is. So I'm gonna press down the brake as hard as I can, and then press the start button. Hopefully this works. Whoa! What was that?
I don't know what that was. It might have been the transmission, but there's some of the oil from when it was upside down.
Dude! All right, let's see if we can get this to run.
Push harder. Come on.
Woo! Oh my gosh! Oh boy! Dude! Yes! Yeah!
Running.
Woo!
Clear the smoke out a little bit.
All right, that's a lot of smoke.
It's clearing up a little bit.
Dude, it's idling. It's idling right now. Oh yes!
Starting to go down.
Okay.
So
It says PCC fault, stop vehicle, so I stopped vehicle.
the what's fault?
PCC fault, so it's probably a trans something or other.
Who knows?
Yeah.
The fans are running.
Oh boy.
To turn the fans on. So the left vent was smoking a lot, but it started to clear up as it went on.
Dude, this thing runs. This thing runs. Yes.
Runs.
Yes.
So as smoke's clearing, we were laughing about what led to finally starting.
The reason why we had this issue is because it is very late. And when it's very late, you make stupid, silly mistakes. And we disconnected the brake module here, the ABS module. and thinking that, oh, well, we don't want the pump to run dry, which was a concern, but then also that is how the brakes see pressure, and that's how the car sees a brake signal. So
yeah, I was like, we needed two things for it to start, was the parking brake, and then we did the bolts so we could see brake pressure, and you were pumping as hard as you possibly could, and we're exhausted, and you found 10 fuses that were blown and it still wouldn't start, and we're standing in the front about to disconnect the battery to go home, and you're like, shouldn't we connect the ABS module? And isn't that how it would see brake pressure? And I was like, oh yeah, that
would probably be the thing.
And
then it started.
And we're not worried about the smoke because that was the side that we put all the oil in the cylinders.
Yeah, that's not a problem. This, I'm very happy about this. This is a result. This is what
it's announcing itself.
Yes, yes. McLaren McNugget has arrived. She needs a lot of work, but it runs. And right now, for the next episode, we are going to just put in a cooling system, brake system, bleed everything, make sure all the pressures and temperatures are where they need to be. I have to get my diagnostic software running so we can do all the bleeding procedures, because there are a lot of them. And then I'll put some wheels and tires on them. That's another thing that it's very complicated on this car. I'll put some wheels and tires, and then we can take it for a drive, which I'm very, very excited about. So until next time, this is me reminding you guys that on cars like this that were a year in the making but are coming together very quickly and having a lot of progress, you guys need to build it better, and to do that, you need to wrench every day. Don't you, Jared?
Yeah, every day.
Every day.
16 hours.
16 hours so you can do that.